Hi Pottery peeps, Tiffany Helmer and welcome to Hobble Creek Pottery. Just to get some business out of the way since a lot of you guys are following along in time. We had our art festival last weekend and it was amazing. Best one yet. What a trick, or not a trick, a tip. If you're doing art shows or boutiques or anything like that, if you find one you like, if you go back year after year after year, people start expecting you there and they come for you and you tend to do better year after year after year, which is the case, our case. It's been our best one yet. I can't wait to see what happens next year. If you remember the mushroom mugs, I'll put up a picture, if I have one. I'll put up a picture to show. They were a hit. I had 8 and I sold out. So I have a studio sale here at the studio on October 5th. Students too, and I need to make some more. I also sold out of all my ghosts. So just if you're doing shows, mushrooms are definitely in. They've been in for a while and I don't think they're going anywhere soon, which is awesome because I like making them. In fact, we're going to do today a different mushroom mug. This is, I'm using the same template and I got something to say about that template here in a second. I'm trying to see all the different shapes that I can do with this template that's turning out to be super, super fun. This is more in line with a trumpet. I think it's a trumpet royale mushroom. That's my inspiration. Actually, hold on just a second. This is actually, I don't know if it'll come up. This is actually what I drew, and I actually want to do a vase also, but I want it to be taller. I can hand build that, but probably not right now. Probably can't go as big and as tall as I want. I could also do a small vase, this mug size, but this was my inspiration. I've mentioned that while I've been down recovering from all of this stuff, that I've been really sketching in my sketchbook of all the things I want to make. So I have a lot of material, a lot of things that I want to make and show you how to do it. All right, let's go. On the mushroom mug, this was the template. This was actually the template. I had redone the template for the mushroom mug and, tree trunk mug, ghost mug. So if you watch the video, and I'll link it in the description on the ghosts, and I'll link in the description for the mushrooms too. I used this template that I drew up, but I got the most amazing viewers. You guys are just the most amazing. When I got back from Alaska, this was waiting for me. She took my template with all the measurements and she 3D printed the template for me. And I've been playing with it and it works amazing. So much faster than cutting around this with a knife. I am gonna link her information. Her name is Nora Parrish, and I think she sells under 371 Arts. I will add information. We'll have some writing here because, you know, I can't retain anything. So, and I'll have all her information if you want to purchase this in the description, because boy, is it a time saver. And right now I have a month, a little less than a month until the October 5th sale. I also have 2 baby showers this month. And I also have to get my taxes done because of the accident. I filed an extension. So it's going to be a busy month. I wish I could file another extension because I really don't want to do them. Can I just do 2 years of taxes in one? I actually should call him and find out because I'm not mentally ready to. Plus it's all a mess. I'm one of those, since everything's in a box. So I got to go through the box. Okay. Let's go ahead. I am using Bee Mix with Speckle for the mushroom mugs. I've already rolled it out, and I've rolled it out to a tick under 3/8 because I'm going to carve into this. I need it to be a little bit thicker. So keep that in mind when you're doing this, because I had to fix one that I carved through. But let's go ahead and I'll show you how I do these. Okay, so how cool is this? I can just put this down and cut this out. Oh, such a time saver. Nora, you have no idea how much of a time saver this is. Well, I'm sure you do, since you do pottery too. But so very grateful. Thank you so much for sending this to me. All right, instead of cutting all the way around that, let me go ahead and get this out. I'm gonna go ahead and push, or take my slab, ouch. Okay, too heavy. Okay, so we got to remember we're working upside down with the template this time. This is actually our top. I haven't fired this, glazed it yet, so I'm keeping in mind where the mouth is going to rest, and hopefully it'll work the way I envision, but I actually won't find out, and of course I'm making a bunch. But that's kind of how I roll. So take the sheet, and I'm smoothing the top of, sometimes if you have a sheet, sometimes if you pick it up one end up, it helps by not getting caught and giving you wrinkles. So, all right, so we got that smooth. And then I'm going to cut my sides. It's bright outside, so it's hard for me to see if it's getting captured on the screen, so I hope it is. Guess I'll find out in the editing. It's amazing what I find out in the editing, and thank goodness for editing. I am definitely one that needs to edit. Actually, I'm going to pause you for a second and set up somewhere else so I'm closer to all my tools. Okay, so now it's just a matter of making your cup, and you've seen me do this many times, and I'm sure a lot of you guys know how to do this. This clay is right out of the bag. I'm not going to slip it. I do have water on. I dip my scoring tool in water. I'll also link this handy dandy tool that I got for Christmas. What I like about it is that I can roll against it, and I can make sure that this seam is really good and stuck. I've got clay on my pony roller, so I will roll this together. These kind of still fall in with my wonky mugs because, you know, they're nature inspired and nature's wonky. So then I'm just going to smooth that down. Actually, take my metal rib. And you don't even have to be real careful here because you're going to carve into it. But I just can't help myself. It's all about cleaning and smoothing as you go. That's just how I do things. All right, so once I have that, then it's just a matter of cleaning up that on the inside. And I just take a wooden knife and smooth that on the inside. It's pretty much joined. I mean, I'm not really joining it. I'm just smoothing that line out so that, because since you overlap that, I overlap it a little bit. They're both cut at a 45, and I kind of overlap them in the middle. So it's good and stuck. Okay, so here is a trick. The one thing I don't like about doing hand-built mugs is that you're pretty much stuck with a straight shape. It's hard. You can put darts in it and you can belly it out, you know, but it's hard to kind of get, you know, shape to them. So I played around with this yesterday and it actually worked. So I got 2 different flower pots. I use flower pots a lot actually. So this is 4 1/4 wide at the top. That's in inches, and it's 4 inches tall. So probably got a lot of you guys international, which is so super cool. I plan to start traveling hopefully, and I'm going to center all my trips around potters I want to visit. So centimeters, we are 10.5, and if I'm reading that right, 10.5 tall. Yep, 10.5 tall. All right, so what I did is I put it on here and I just let it naturally fall. And then I am going to squeeze it in because these mushrooms have a waist down here. And what it does, it actually kind of pushes the mug up and makes it a little bit taller too. But I just keep going around with your banding wheel and pushing it, and the clay is going to squeeze in. So just keep doing that. And I squeeze it in. I kind of want the waist to actually stay not really like in the middle. So then I figured out, okay, don't get it stuck on your pot. I went to the smaller one. So this one is 1.5 inches by 3 inches, and then 9 centimeters by 8 centimeters. So if I go to the smaller one and then I put it on the smaller one, so it's actually going to go all the way down. So this is kind of tricky. Just take some practice. You want to just kind of hold it up. Well, start down there, and then, how did I do that? I think I did it this way. This worked yesterday. So I kind of hold it up with one hand and start squeezing it in, because I want it to be a little bit more squeezed in down here, kind of like a third instead of a half. I want it. So if you just kind of hold it so it doesn't fall down, and you just keep squeezing it, you'll get it more in down there. Cool, right? Right. So now I got to figure out, and I'll link this. I actually bought a new one because I wanted more circles than my other one offered. I think it's been this one, yeah. It's been this one that I've been using, but I'm not quite there. Maybe I need to go to this one. All right, so we'll go to this one. So let me get my slab back. I'm going to go ahead and put my stamp in first. Clean it up a little bit. The 3D printer on this stamp always leaves a little texture I don't like, so I always kind of clean that up. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Covering my slab because no humidity. It's not near as hot, but no humidity. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and score this guy, and we're going to put them together. And I'm just dipping my, like I said, this is all right out of the bag. Just dipping it in the water and then score the bottom. So there is some residual. It works really good for this speckled bee mix to do this. If you're working with porcelain, you're going to have to use some slip, magic water, vinegar, something. that's not going to be enough. But stoneware is super forgiving. And so, wow, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. Bring this back. Set it on there because I got it off. It's always so much fun to mess up on camera. I mess up normally anyway. Actually, let's do this. Nope, can't. At least you get to see how I fix things, right? So I probably should have done it this way to begin with. Let me go ahead and raise you up. So I'm just gonna carefully put that on there because I don't want to stretch that out yet. And then let's line this up. Instead of doing it the way I did it, I pushed it out is what I did. So when I have my bottom a little bit smaller, I will tuck it in on each corner or 4 corners and then gather it in between to get a good fit. Tamp it down with my finger. Till I get it all round. Actually, I'd rather have that. I'm going to take my roller at a 45 and I'm going to roll this. This is going to give you the illusion that you put a foot in it. And it kind of gives it a little bit of a lift so it's just not just square sitting on the table, you know. Wipe up the slip that's coming out. Take either a metal rib or your mud tool rib or whatever, wooden rib, and I'm just going to smooth that even more and then clean that up with my sponge. And our foot is done. Kind of cool, huh? All right. Then we'll address the inside. Inside, you can see, I don't know if the camera will pick it up. It just needs to be cleaned up. So I'll take a brush and I'll just go around and clean up the slip that has come through. And make sure that that's a good joint too. And then we get to work on, oh, and then if I did, sometimes when you clean up the inside, it does push the outside. So always look at your outside again. And if I want that bevel, and if I took it out, I will go ahead and put that bevel back in. It just makes a nice looking foot. We are going to carve into this, so it will change it. But for now, I want to make sure I have a good joint. I don't want anything cracking in the drying and the firing and the glazing. You know, hand building takes so much more time than wheel throwing. And it's just so frustrating or defeating when you put this much time into something and then something that you didn't do in the make and it cracks on you and it's a loss. It's frustrating, so take the time. All right, so what I'm doing is I've got my hand about down here. So now I am forming the top of the mushroom and I am kind of pushing it out and doing a swooping motion with my sponge. My sponge is damp, it's not dripping, but I'm just swooping that out. So these are going to be a wide mouth mug with a smaller bottom. So we'll see how they work. This clay will shrink, I think 11%. I'm not sure. Probably should look that up too. But it's B-mix, you know, I kind of know. And I'm okay if it shrinks a little bit more because these are kind of wide mouth. All right, so now that I've got it to that point, We're going to do kind of the same thing we did with the bottom of the ghosts, but you got to think, so I'm going to put my handle here because that's usually where I do it because of the seam. But you got to think, okay, we're picking up our handle around here. Where are we going to drink from? So it's going to make sense to drink here because, of course, if you drink from here, you're going to spill here. So these are your two drinking parts. And I'm wetting my fingers and I'm coming in here and I'm stretching this clay and thinning it out because this is the decorative part of the mushroom. And I'm bending that over, almost making a spout out of it. So that's why it'll be interesting to drink out of one of these to make sure it actually functions well. And I really hope I just don't make and show you guys how to make ornamental mugs. Pretty mugs that sit on a shelf that you put flowers in or something. Hopefully this actually works. I'm always one that dives into the deep end. That's how I've done everything in my life. You know, figure it out on the way. My son's the same way. I have one son that has everything figured out before he does it, and both my son Tate and I, we figure it out. We figure out along the way. Consequences be damned, right? All right. He gets his thrill seeker gene is probably runs deeper than mine, but he definitely gets that from me. Poor guy. Actually, he has a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. Why? The other kids are trying to parent me and tell me what I can and cannot do. Do you guys get that? You reach a certain age and all of a sudden, you know nothing. You can't do anything, or at least that's what your kids think, right? Your adult children. All of a sudden, you've got all this wisdom and know-how behind you because you've lived so much longer than they do. But of course, they know everything. Granted, I must say, we demonstrated at the art festival. And so we had a wheel there, and Kate and Mickey and Savannah and even Tess, they were throwing. And it's like, what if you guys just center the clay for me and then I throw? It was so hard. That was probably the hardest part of the whole festival, was watching them throw and knowing that I couldn't. But I got big fat no's because I haven't been cleared. But seriously, how would that affect my arm? Obviously centering is going to, but I can't imagine, maybe some pulling, but if I did things that were small, anyway, I was trying to justify it and I was being parented by my girls. All right, so now I'm gonna come in here and give us a place to drink first. And even though the handle's going here, I'm still gonna do that. So I'm going to make this part just a little bit wider, and then I'm going to come in and just give it some flourish here. Just really similar to what I did on the foot of the ghost mugs. So it's a little different than probably trumpeter mushroom. I'm pretty sure they're the trumpeter mushrooms. I don't know. I love mushrooms, so I should know. All right. So now I'm going to leave this and we're going to work on the handle. We'll let that stiffen up while we work on the handle. So let me get some clay, and the handle is another mushroom. So the same mushroom. So let's get going on that. So I have some clay here. I got too much clay here. So I'm going to roll out a carrot again. I think that's what I did on the other mushroom mug. I'm not sure. Get that out of there. This clay's softer than, this is my leftover clay that I dip in water and put in a bag from doing hand building, so it's softer. So it's going to take a little bit more time to set up. In fact, it's so soft, I'm going to pull this handle instead of roll it, because it's not going to take very long. So just getting my hand wet and moving my hand, twisting this while I'm doing it. get it to where it's at least as long as I need. I know this is longer. Now, with this type of handle, I'm going to go ahead and cut off some clay. I'm going to dry my hands off. The clay is too soft. Now, I don't know what this tool is called. I've had it forever. I don't even know where I got it. So, but it's such a great tool. If you can find one like this, pick it up. Because what I'm going to do, and you could easily use the back end of a paintbrush to do what I'm going to do. But I'm going to open this up. And then I'm going to open it up even a little bit further. And then I'm going to pinch our mushroom. So I pinch it out about there. If I pinch it out and pull it over like I did the other one, this is all going to tear. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get my fingers wet and I'm going to pull up and push out from the inside. See, I've already torn. So I got it too thin there, but you can save that because I saved it on all the others I did yesterday. Okay, so to save that, this is probably too big anyway. Just cut your mushroom smaller. And it actually is better if it's not completely circular. And then open it up even more. And then do the same thing. So I'm kind of moving my fingers like this, holding on the inside, pushing from the inside, and pulling up from the outside. Okay. And I'm going to smooth the edge. Actually, this is kind of very soft clay. This is a lot softer than what I was playing with yesterday. So just get my fingers. So I'm just smoothing all that. And before I finish this, we're going to actually have to come back to it. We're going to have to let it set up so I can carve it. But let me finish the edge here. I'll take my serrated rib and I want to put the, I think they're called gills. I need to look all the terminology up. I need to put those in, and I will add in more after I carve it, but I want to get these initial ones in, and it's actually easier to do it with, see how wet that is. Come on. I don't want it to tear. So. And I'm not worried about the goobers, they'll fall off after they dry. Okay, so now I got more cleanup to do on the front side. Wow. Don't do it with clay this soft. It's a lot more work. All right. And then I'm going to bend this back and kind of bend it and kind of flute it at the same time. I don't want it to be completely straight. I want it to have some movement. And then I'm going to let this guy set up because it's way too wet. So we'll just let it set up and then we'll come back to it after they've set up and attach that, and then we'll let it dry some more. So it helps to have a few going. All right, we'll be back in a bit. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add the handle. So I'm going to go ahead and score this side. I'm not going to score the other side because it's already scored. So pick what part you want to attach to. Oh, and one of the things I like to do is I like to bring this right to the edge. Actually, go ahead, it's easier to score this now. Before I add my handle. And then I am going to just rest it there, push it in. So the mug is probably set up a little bit more than the handle is, but I need to have this soft enough so that I can actually do that. And then I'm going to cut, wrong way, cut my handle, and then push that in. And then it's not quite straight, is it? Let's see. And I'll take a little bit, make myself a little coil. You guys have seen this before. But I'm going to also take a little coil and put it up under here and around. So I don't want to misshapen that. And then it's just a matter of smoothing all this into the handle. And into the mug. Because I want it to look like it grew out of the mug. So I will actually smooth all that in. Again, we're going to come back after it's set up and carve it. While I've got this upside down, I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing and smooth all this in so that the top of this mushroom is into that mug. Strengthen this area. Since both of them are fairly thin, the rim's thin, mushroom's thin, this gives it some more support. Then come back, I will add the lines back in for the mushroom, but not now. We're gonna set it out, let it stiffen up, and come back to it. Okay, handle's on. So it just hangs out. Pretty cool, huh? I think when I was first making these, and I liked my drawing, and I'm not usually one who likes my drawings because they're more on the lines of stick figures, but I wasn't quite getting what I wanted until I actually did the next step. That's when the magic happens. So stay tuned. Well, for you, it'll just be a few seconds. For me, it'll probably be an hour or so. So good time to take a break and go get some lunch. But you'll also notice that I gave this mushroom some movement. And just kind of make sure, I'm okay with a line here, but I don't want it to like show a crack. So I do want to smooth it in. Okay. So I actually want this to kind of come down even more. Because it's thin, I don't want it to get knocked and get broken. It'll be really interesting if this mug actually works. Hopefully, fingers crossed. All right, I'll see you in a bit. All right, it's been about an hour and a half. I got myself a chair. I have myself a towel, and I put a towel over my waist or on my lap, and we're gonna carve this, and I'm gonna bring you in a little closer for it so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm using this, what is it? P18 diamond core tool. You could use any kind of tool, you know, I'm just making sure that it's kind of got that loop. And then I probably will speed you up for this, but I usually start at the top and just kind of, I know I don't have as much clay here because I pushed it out and then thinned it out. So I just start, and the better that this, just like with so many things I do, the more random these are, the better. They just look better. I actually have more moisture down here, so I have to be careful or I'm going to dig in. I have repaired these when I've gone too deep. So I don't do a lot of pressure up here, but I want to get all those lines in. So we will cue some music and speed this up because I am doing this whole mug this way. Couple of tips. So this is drier up here than here. With your tool, the further back you are, the less pressure you're going to give. All right? I have a lot more clay here, and it is wetter, but I can also dig in more and make these grooves deeper. Be careful in the middle because that's usually where I tend to go through because I'm not exactly sure how thick I am. And then after I've actually carved it, I will kind of go around it just one more time to see if there's any smoothing, not smoothing, but more I can add because I know that this is going to be a fun texture to glaze. I kind of have some ideas of what to glaze. I don't know if I'll show that because glazing is not, it's not my favorite thing to show. It takes a lot of time. I think it's boring. It's when I'm glazing, it's just kind of like, let's get through this. So I don't necessarily, but the ideas that I have for it, if it turns out, maybe I will, well, maybe I'll show it. We'll see. Who knows? Never say never, right? But this mug, for me, comes alive once you do all of this to it. And because I am carving in deeper down here, this makes this mug feel a lot lighter than a lot of hand-built mugs. Hand-built mugs tend to, sometimes they get heavy, and this really takes some of the weight off. And all right, so I am going to, and you do definitely want to get that at the perfect leather stage. You see how they're just falling right off and there's no dust, nothing sticking. And I can just go to town and do that. Now, the other end of this is kind of like a pencil. So then I'm going to come in and I'm going to add in some more lines. I'm going to take on this mushroom, I'm just going to extend those lines down, make them look more natural than the serrated rib did. Try to refrain from wiping this. You really just, when you're doing small lines like this, you really want them to the burrs, just let it dry to bone dry, and they literally just knock off. It's so much less work. But yeah, I'm just gonna put them in so it just all looks natural. All right. And then that is it. And then after it's dry, I'll just take a sponge, actually I can show you that now. I just kind of just soften anything. I will make sure there's nothing sharp around the foot, That's the thing, the key. You could do, actually, this is fine to do it now too. I just don't want any sharp bits, and you kind of minimize the sharpness if you catch the clay at the right moisture, this leather hard. Just makes it perfect because it just carves through. But once it's dry, you'll be able to feel more whether or not you need to take the sponge to it a little bit more aggressively. But isn't that cool? I mean, to me, that now looks like a trumpet mushroom. Trumpet royale, maybe? Can't remember. So I'll wait till it's dry to clean that off. And if you saw the ladybugs, I don't know if I will, but I might. I still have some ladybugs left over. I might glaze glue a ladybug on here just to give it a pop of color. Or, something else. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. I hope you give it a try. Hope you go get muddy, and we'll catch you in the next one. One last thing, and just to show you, sit down in a comfortable chair, do it on a towel, and you catch all your droppings, and you can easily put them in your reclaim bucket without making a mess. Okay? All right. See you later.